Yeah, I found this story and it's pretty crazy. It says, woman killed hours after Rio Rancho police responded to her home. This case is so crazy. I was reading it and I was like, is this for real? I was like, I put it aside the other day and I was like, oh, we're going to go through it. Okay. In Rio Rancho in New Mexico, a law has been in place for police departments and law enforcement to remove firearms from anyone they think is an immediate threat to someone. Okay, but you're asking guys that are threats to everyone to come to some sort of, thing here. I was like, but watch what happened. Okay, it says, however, Target 7 has learned one of New Mexico's largest counties, Sandoval County, has never used it. Some argue that 82-year-old Rio Rancho woman, Junan Fanel, would still be alive if it was used. Actually, yeah, she would be alive if they actually did something here, but and it gets worse though. The Rio Rancho Police Department, the fire department, arrived at her home in April to find Fennell in a hospital bed, right? First responders were there after caretaker Henry Cardana called for emergency services. Cardana told 911 that Fennell was uncontrollable and that they needed to get her out of the home for her own safety. Cardana had been the caretaker for Fennell for several years. Fennell also spoke during the 911 call and said that she felt like she was in danger. She also said there were weapons in the home after the dispatcher asked. Rancho officers talked with Cardana about the firearms inside the home. They go, "You're a firearms guy?" an officer asked. And he says, "Oh, yeah," Cardana said. "Nice," the officer said. So they started having this, like, bro thing, I guess. They're loaded. They're ready to go, Cardana said. And then they go, we don't need to see them, the officer said. There's one's probably right there in the case, and I see another one over there. The officer continued saying, "I like folks that have guns." And since he's a gun owner himself, as the officer began to say goodbye to Cardana and Fennell, she begs them to stay at the home. Yeah, so she's the victim in it, right? She's like, "I fear for my life, stay at the home," right? And the officers are just like, "Whatever, dude. High five, dude. You got guns? Right on, dude. Right on." And then it goes, then the conversation continues between Cardana and Fennell once the officers say they have to go. What did you say?" Fennell asked, and he says, "I said you're fine until I kill you," Cardana said. "All right." And then he's threatening to do that, Fennell said to the Rio Rancho police officers, right? And then they go, "Get out of here now," Cardana said to the officers. "Go away." The two officers leave. Can you believe this, you guys? I can, because I had a situation similar where the officers came in and they thought this was the biggest hilarious thing ever, that I got choked, and the guy was actually telling the officers off. He was calling them pigs and swine, and they needed to get the F out. And then he's going to call his lawyer, and he went running up into a loft and was hiding. And I was like, if they get shot, it's their fault, because they thought it was hilarious. And there was no lights on in the upper part or nothing. It was crazy. And I go, "Oh my God, something bad's going to happen." And I was outside and I was listening to the screaming back and forth of him yelling at them. And they were down below chuckling. They were laughing. I was like, I've never seen this in my life. And I couldn't believe that anybody could get away with doing that, because you hear all these stories in the media, right? It's like 1 minute you try to run away, the cops shoot you. Oh no, they were sitting there doing this thing, right? Well, it's all good. And then they came up to me and said, "He's just drunk, bye," and totally ignored the whole call to begin with. And then that was a major case though. And they've been trying to run around not being held accountable for that one. And it was about to go into a lawsuit. Yeah. So there was a whole thing with that. But anyway, it's not like all this stuff is over with, right? So, yeah, this one is crazy because he's like, I said you're fine until I kill you. Okay, so he just made a threat, right? Cops don't take jokes, okay? So they're supposed to take everything you say seriously, so you shouldn't even be sarcastic and joke around, okay? But this guy said that, right? And then he told the cops to get out of here, and then they leave. And then two officers leave, and 4 hours later, 911 receives another call. This time from a neighbor. The neighbor man was screaming for help and told us to call the police. And he said he says he killed her. I mean, he was open and told the cops that. Police returned to find Cardona covered in blood. He had just shot and killed Fennell, according to the court documents. And John Day says more could have been done. I mean, this is like stupid. Like, he literally said it in front of the cop. And in this particular case, it sounds like there was plenty of information that the law enforcement had that would have triggered the implementation of a red flag law. Well, you should have arrested him just for making that type of threat. Like, what the hell's that? So you're going to leave it. See, they leave us with these perpetrators. That has been really common. That's been in the majority of our cases where they've left me with the perpetrator or didn't arrest them when they were supposed to and they were there and everything else. So yeah, this is a major common problem across America, as we see. It was enacted in July 2020 after 2 years of debate in the state capitol. But also it's a hate crime against women because he's not even listening to the victim there. And then he just confirmed like how he's talking. She's like, I fear for my life. He's like, and you know that thing about killing you? Yeah, I mean, that's a very valid reason to get scared of your life. And they just let her get killed. They don't care. They're sociopaths, right? However, the majority of the elected sheriffs in New Mexico oppose it and have said they will not enforce the law. Yeah, they want us all to get killed. Awesome. They're male supremacists. However, the past laws allow law enforcement to prosecutors to petition a court. See, you can have laws all day long. Law enforcement does not actually follow the laws. They do whatever they feel like whenever they feel like it. That's the truth. And rape was always legal in California. These petitions will have a gun owner's gun seized if there's a credible threat they will do harm to others or themselves. Jay explains how it works. There's a process for the law enforcement to go to a court and get a temporary order saying to get those guns. Okay, but he made a threat. He still made a threat, and she said that she was scared for her life. See, and I've like I said, this is that bullshit right there. We'll deal with this and let some time pass and let people cool off. This just sounds stupid as hell, dude. Chief Stewart Steele provided this statement when asked about the police response to the home. On April 5th, 2023, City of Rio Rancho first responders responded to two calls for services at 2102 Western Hills Drive. Okay, and during the first call for service, the officers responded to assist the Rio Rancho Fire Department and conduct a welfare check. During the welfare check, officers spent time counseling the individuals who resided at the residence regarding hospice care and advanced long-term care services. Ultimately, officers were able to help arrange alternative housing at a long-term care facility for June and Fennell before leaving the scene. Yeah, but it wasn't like that, right? That combo right there. When officers left the scene, it did not appear Junann was in fear for her safety, and there was no probable cause to believe. See, it's a lie already, right? It's a lie already, because that was the other. They didn't say that at all. They're like, I'm scared of my life, and then he makes a comment like that. So they lie in their reports. That's so typical. Like, I've caught them every single time. I've caught medical people lying in their assessments too. I never even thought twice about those people until something came up one day and I had to re-examine what the initial things were, and they just completely made some crap up. The only thing I can come to think of was if I was being sarcastic, like I always am, that they said something like that, but I was like, what person would say some crap like that? Not me. And I didn't seem to have a problem with that doctor. It was weird. So I was like, oh, now I gotta beware of anybody's private files because they can actually manipulate a case without you, like something could happen in the future and then you're not even aware that they did that behind your back and wrote down some malicious thing, but you had no knowledge of it. and let's just say something comes up and then it comes up again and then they say that you said something when you never did. That's ridiculous. I would never say something like that. The only time I would if I was being sarcastic, I'm like, oh yeah, it must be like this. Like, yeah, I do that totally all the time. It wasn't true anyway. So anyway, officers had no reasonable belief to suspect that either individual was sincerely contemplating an imminent act of violence because the behavior of individuals observed on scene indicated they cared for one another and were working to solve their long-term health care and living situation needs. No. When a woman is scared of the individual and they have guns and everything, the last thing they're going to do is make a big old thing, and then you guys are going to leave, and then it's still going to be the end of it. Most people will try to act as kosher as possible while the individual's right there because he could have just started spraying the place, right? Totally. Yeah, I was like totally no. That combo right there was as serious could be. But officers don't take any crime seriously when they show up and they laugh and they leave. They've done that many times, you guys. Based on the entirety. Oh, even when I was in the emergency room, they're like, "Oh, it's not serious. She's just hooked up to a machine." Yeah, that thing. Based on the entirety of circumstances during the first call, there was no probable cause to conduct a criminal investigation or substantiate a significant danger of imminent personal injury as a result of either person having access to a firearm. Making jokes about killing people. Okay, consequently, the officers lacked authority to arrest, no, place into protective custody either party against their will, or file a petition pursuant to Extreme Risk Firearm Protection Order Act. During the second call for service, the Rio Rancho Police Department conducted a thorough and complete homicide investigation and continues to cooperate with the DA's office prosecution of Henry Cardona. Oh, don't you love how they just completely try to paint themselves innocently after we just read this thing? Yo, bro, right on, you got guns. Cool, awesome, dude. High five. And then the lady's like, I fear for my life. I fear for my life.